welcome back to Jumble Lane. One thing I've always said to you in past videos is, I'm sorry it's been a long time since the last update. Well, I'm going to have to apologise again. It has been a really long time since I brought out a video showing you the layout or doing anything on the layout. There's a lot to be done, and there's a lot of things that I said I would be doing which I haven't got around to yet. I've been quite busy dealing with my business, which is the 3D printing, which is Scenic 3D, also on eBay. It's taken over my life really at the end of the day, and I haven't had time for my layout. I just have not been in this room hardly. I've spent 2 days tidying this room up and getting it anywhere near where I can run a train round. The track is in a really dirty condition. There's still the problems behind where the camera is at the moment, where it's got that slight incline coming down and it goes to the turntable area and then in front of this station here at Godfrey Junction. Yes, I've got to change the points from a straight point to a curve point and move it up onto the curve slightly, and it is on an incline and it's everything wrong about it, and it does feed into a track where it goes almost into a letter S. So everything's wrong about it. It's never worked really well, but also it's got a surface point motor on it, and I want to stick the point motor underneath like the rest of my motors, or mostly the rest of my motors. Which brings me to another point. Point motors. My main part of the business at the moment is pushing forward the point motor jigs. So what I've done, I've started up a separate YouTube channel, and I'll put a link below, and it's called Scenic 3D. So it's YouTube at Scenic 3D. And basically everything I want to sort of talk about product wise will be on that channel, and keep it separate from this channel as much as possible. There will be an overlap because I will be using my own products on my own layout, because I want to use the products on my layout, not solely for advertising, but because that's what I want on my layout. I will be using my layout as a backdrop for photos for the products on that website, on that YouTube channel. So there will be an overlap and there will be a mention of each, and I don't apologise for that, because what is the use? Everybody does it. Everybody sort of does things like asks for subscriptions. It's up to you. I can tell you where these things are. It's up to you if you want to go to them. So I will be blatantly advertising everything I do on Scenic 3D on that channel. So that's another one you can go and have a look at and subscribe if you wish. So going back to Jumble Lane, and as I said, it's been a long time. There are 3 main jobs I want to get on with, and that's in the near future. The one I'm not looking forward to the most is changing the points. So what I'll do is I'll show you where that is now. Right, so this is the set of points that are the problem at the moment. When the train comes down here and down here, there is a derailment. Not always, and not all trains, and it's mainly the coaches. Basically one of the coaches in the rake will probably go down here, and all the rest will stay down here, or vice versa. So the points, I think when they were laid, they weren't flat, and I pinned them down, so it did sort of make it worse, so they're not even, and the wheels just jump out. So I'm trying to keep this set of points in here, remove these points, remove part of this track coming down, and then take the points on the curved section further up. The problem is, using the point motor underneath, is the fact that I'm going to have to cut away the lower part of the baseboard, and without damaging anything underneath, and then see how I get on. So that's going to be fun, and that is not looking forward to it. It will be a big project, and it will be a good job done once it has been done. The next job is this lifting section. This has been changed so many times, and I think one of the last times I brought a video out, it was to say how I'm going to be doing this. I thought it was okay, and I made the scenic parts either side to make it look like a cutting coming into this station and going through to the tunnel, which will always be a tunnel inside the wardrobe there. The problem is, when it's up, it's being supported at the moment by a piece of wire which comes through and ties it against the door frame. Problem is with that, as you can probably see, this is almost flush to the track, and this is got to be around about 8-9 millimeters raised from the main track bed there. So although the method in which I hook it down does hold it down, there is still a step. What happens is they come this way on this track and that way on this track. This track isn't affected as much as this one, and they do go from a high level down to a low level, so they're not tripping up the step, they're falling down the step, but it does create problems. I have got some over centre clips, so these will clip to the two parts of the bridge, and then by moving that clamp down it will hold it down and pull it down. What I've got to do is also, there's a certain amount of lateral movement within the bridge, so I've got to put some dowels in which will locate once it's in the right position. What I will do as well is mount the dowels on a plate which is height adjustable. So there'll be basically the dowels sticking out of the top part of the bridge. So the dowels will be sticking down, and where it comes to rest there'll be a plate which will receive the dowels, but that plate can move in height, adjust. So it'll be like a fine adjustment of the height to get this perfectly level. So when the clamps pull the bridge down against the dowels tight, they'll be in the right position and smooth, and the dowels will take care of the thing. So I've got some over centre clips. I've got to rebuild part of the base underneath here where it all sits together. So because at the moment it's basically flush, so the actual plate where it sits at the moment will have to be lower. So that's got to come down and be rebuilt, and it's got to be quite sturdy. So I've got to get a couple of dowels. I was going to 3D print them, I must admit, but I understand with all the 3D printing I do that there is limitations, and I think the stress and the strain on that is probably a little bit too much just for the 3D printing, and it will wear. I think there'll be too much chance of it wearing, whereas the dowels, steel dowels, will be better. We have this station here, well, this platform as such, it's still part of the same junction. What I'm going to do here, which is all the width as up to the bridge, will basically be a large platform with scenics facing the track, which will only be seen by anything that's looking from the track, so generally you wouldn't see it from here, but at the back end will be more or less a mounting place for such things as the iPad to control the trains, etc., like a holder. So it's got to be multifunctional. So what I've done, and this is a project which I was going to do as a selling project, but I didn't continue with it. It was an idea which never went to fruition. There is a reason why. I won't go into it, but a friend who's got a YouTube channel, I sent him some samples of this, and he says, well, where have you seen that? And I'm sure somewhere in my head I've seen an edging looking like that. That's look as though you're looking from the track, and that is the platform as such. Is that in, yeah, that's in view. If you look at a section of it, that is like the wall and the piece that juts out, and there's the edge of the platform. And it was in sections, so you could fix the sections together, and also it's got the sloping edges. And then, bear with me, when you come to things like bays, bay platforms and such, I made a series of joints. Now that one's an external joint, a 90-degree external joint, and then I did an internal joint, so it be like a pocket where the track came to, so your track was surrounded by these edges. All these bits sticking out and that lip there was to allow a thick card. Now this is just a template. This is just card. I've yet to finish the template up to here, and once I've made that template, I will have a card, a thicker card, which I'll join together, which will fit in here snug right up to the lip. And then there'll be another thing. I've got the ability to print on roll paper 2 foot wide, because I've got a wide format printer. What I can do once I've finished this is I can lay the template over this. Bear in mind this will come down to about here, and cut this paper out. I've printed slabs which are 3x2 slabs, 3 foot by 2 foot slabs, with a variation of shade to them, making it as random as possible, although there is a repeat, and you will see a repeat in the pattern, which is inevitable. But that then will be stuck down to the card. That then will be stuck down to what is the platform itself, and make up the platform. And then I can build such things as the lighting, the canopy, seating, you name it, everything will go on it. And then coming from the control panel here will be a stand for things like phones and iPads, etc. And also somewhere to put your cup of tea. would have noticed with the running sessions, I've used the turntable a bit at the beginning. One of the stumbling blocks I had with my mojo with this layout was the investment into new locos and rolling stock. I don't want to harp on to this subject, but I will mention it. I purchased the Accurascale Deltic right at the very beginning when it was first announced. I had to wait a very long time for it to come. I was getting more and more excited about having it, and when it came, it was a load of rubbish. I contacted Accurascale, and yeah, they had it back, and they addressed the detail of the problems I had. But when it came back, it was just as bad, if not worse. They hadn't really addressed the details. I know this layout is not the perfect layout, it could be a lot better. It's the first layout I've done since my childhood with a massive break in between. And there are mistakes on the layout, but when you take into account what you've just seen with the Hornby HST, the GWR version, going round at full speed on the same track as what the Accurascale did at half the speed, and the Accurascale still being at fault, and that is the carriages, the Mark V coaches and the DT at the end. The Deltic was doing the same. Now I have got a fair few locos, and I don't think I'll really have a problem with the locos. The Deltic is the only one. I know the main reason behind it, and that is the centre axle in the three axles on each of the bogies. I know they like to get things absolutely perfect with being prototypical, and hats off to them. They've got a fantastic model which is great if it's in a cabinet on show. It's impractical to make things so true to life when you're scaling down. I found this out with 3D printing. If you scale down everything to size, the item becomes too small to print and becomes invisible. So you've got to use a bit of thought, and you've got to make these things practical. When I had the Deltic back, I ended up taking a pair of side cutters, flush side cutters, to the parts that I found was fouling, and it started to make it better. But then I realised it was a major problem with the bogie. If they had done it with flangeless centre axle wheels, you wouldn't have this problem. It wouldn't take much to have an option of the wheels. I would have happily paid £10–15 more on the model to have a set of flangeless wheels on an axle to change if I wanted to. It would make it completely easy to run. Now, you could do it another way, and that is making the centre axle a floating axle so it moves side to side. This is one of the points that I did speak to Accurascale about, and they says it can't be done. So I'm not going to argue with them, I'm not going to go on it. What I did do, in disgust, I just put the thing back in the box, and at the time I had a bin bag in the corner down by the side where I'm sat now, and I threw that Deltic in the bin bag. And for a very long time, to my knowledge, that bin bag had the Deltic in it, and that bin bag went into my wheelie bin outside, and as far as I was aware and as far as I was concerned, that was the end of the Deltic. I threw away the hundreds of pounds I spent on it, and that was the last I wanted to know of it. Just before I was tidying up this, when I tried tidying up the layout a few months ago, I realised that the Deltic didn't go in the bag, it went into a cardboard box at the back of the bag. I don't know if I was excited about it or just not bothered about it, but the basis of it was that the Deltic stayed in the box and was put under the layout, out of reach and out of mind. One day I might return to it and try and do something, even if it means that I remove that centre axle and then grind all the flanges away. Sounds drastic, I know, but it might be something I do. When I did tidy up over the last few days, I got out the box containing the Mark V coaches in the DT, in the Transpennine livery. I wanted them to fit to the 68, the Transpennine 68 that I got, Brutus, and I wanted to take it around the layout. I'd also purchased the decoder direct from Accurascale, and I fitted that, put it on the layout, and it wouldn't get recognised. I tried everything. I took it out and I put it in a decoder tester, see if I could recognise it there. It still weren't recognised. I don't know what I've done, but I've actually programmed it, given it an address, and basically I set the lights on prior to operating the 68. I can't use the same address as the 68 because you can operate the functions for the 68, but you might inadvertently turn lights on or off on the decoder that's fitted to the DT. So it would have been nice to have a way of having it programmed so the lights would function the same as the lighting on the decoder, but that's just something else. As you can see, I only took it up to a low speed, and even then it was parting company. It was the rake would break in half. That's probably down to the fact that the couplings are their magnetic ones and they are very close, and it doesn't like the bends. I mean, I have only got 2 bends which are second radius, but they're not on that part. I don't know, at this point while I'm recording what I'm saying to you now, is I don't know if I'll edit into it where I was parking the rake up, and it was going in reverse, but it was going at a very low speed, and it just would not go. Every single coach, the bogies would jump off the points. Now, they didn't do that with the Hornby 43, the GWR rake that I've got. I just don't know what to think about it. This is one of the reasons I lost my mojo, because it just took the shine off the hobby, having something like this. I have got other locos that work great, and it's just not, you can't really blame the layout. Yes, the layout could be better, the track quality could be better. I've already mentioned the fact that the one point up the top there is going to be taken out and is going to be replaced, but that's down to that track. This wasn't on that track, it was on the adjacent track, which functions very well for everything else I've got. So all in all, I absolutely love the quality of the looks of the Acura scale equipment, or the things that you can buy from Acura scale. I think they look brilliant. They look even better when they're in a cabinet on show, because my views are they're so delicate that parts have already fallen off the DT just by going around the track. The buffer gone missing. There's a small piece I found, I don't know where it's even come from. And there's a piece underneath that fell off, and I've put it back into position. I haven't glued it, but it's still there at the moment, but I only need to get knocked and then it's off again. I think the Deltic has only got about a quarter of all the bits that should have been on it. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to throw it in the bin. So as disappointed as I am, I will carry on with the layout. I have got certain issues which are being addressed, certain things that I will be doing in the future, but what you do find from me is I don't hold anything back. I don't worry about what I say, because what I say has gone with thought. It's my opinion about what I feel about the Acura scale things that I've bought. They're based on what I've found out in what has happened to the ones that I've bought. If I buy something and it works absolutely flawless and is absolutely fine and looks great and it works great, I'll shout from the hillside how good it is. I'll give people praise or companies praise, and I'll be the first to say so. Yeah, the Acura scale, they look absolutely fantastic. They've done a fantastic job, but at the cost of not being usable, and that's where it falls down. So my rant over, and whether I get people disliking the video or not, it's not an issue. Just like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. If you want to subscribe and you haven't already, then subscribe. It's entirely up to you. If you think I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. If you think I'm right, tell me in the comments. I'll take any comments as long as they're constructive. If you want to be an arse, then be an arse and comment just like a keyboard warrior, and I'll just ignore that comment. But yeah, I'm going to try and spend more time on the layout. I think I'll put an end to my 18-hour days. I'm 66 and I should be retired, but no, I'm going to carry on working. I've got a mortgage to pay for, so I've got to have some work time and some free time. So until next time, goodbye.